to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief, did you get the camera? Thank you.
I did.
You did? Thank you. Welcome to our Monday, March 25th, 7 p.m. meeting. To start off, if anyone happens to have any public comment, floor is open. Yes, ma'am. Just name and address, please.
Good morning, I'm Clint Court. Congratulations to the two trustees that got reelected. Do we have a vote count, certified vote count for that vote that we took?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You want the number?
can get it for you.
Yeah.
I didn't see it posted anywhere, I saw random numbers. I
No.
know it was low, but.
We gave it to the paper and,
What
I
paper?
don't know.
The
what paper
Mid
called?
Hudson News called, or News 12,
Yeah, News 12.
they call
Or
it. Times-High
radio.
Record doesn't call anymore and ask. They don't want it anymore.
Yeah, but we could, obviously, we could certainly post that when we had the,
Yeah.
along with the absentees. Okay, any other questions, comments? Alrighty then. Anything from the board that you'd like to mention? Anything? Okay. All right, to start a meeting or so ago, we had a conversation about aid incentive for municipalities, AIM, and there was some further digging that we wanted to investigate of where this money comes from, et cetera. So on an annual basis, for many, many years, we've received $13,070 on an annual basis. This hasn't changed, and I was trying to find a year but couldn't find an exact year when where AIM would, like any other program, you're always trying to increase the money in that program so municipalities could potentially receive more funding. So again, that has been flat for many years, but the good news is that in this state budget, between the Assembly and the Senate, the executive budget, again, was trying to keep the AIM funding for cities, villages, and town at a current level of $715 million. So the Senate is proposing an increase AIM funding by $210 million, and also includes, more importantly, $250,000 to establish AIM Redesign Task Force. Because something went off the track years ago, and it maybe, I'll say, became too political in different towns, and there was supposed to be like an equation of how the money was distributed. It sounds like that became a little bit of a fiasco, so everything, from that point, nothing changed. And so at this point, at least the Senate is looking for some money dedicated to the redesign and formulas of how this money is distributed. And with that, the Assembly is also proposing an increase of AIM by $100 million. So that's where we are with that. If there's any other further questions, we can take those a little bit later, and then we can give you, we can follow up if there's any other further conversation about it. Just a quick update on the deficit financing extension. We had put that in, as we mentioned at the previous meeting. Again, the extension is supposed to get us out to June of 2025. That is the Senate bill of 8725, and that would be getting us to our permanent financing. On the Assembly side, we're waiting to hear back on the presentation of the bill and its, I'll call a number. So as soon as we have that, we'll be able to give you more information. On C, we've been working, Vernon's been working really hard on the grant applications. One in particular we're chasing right now is for archiving paperwork. We have a tremendous amount of paper on the second floor that is completely disorganized, no real files, nothing that really makes a lot of sense. If you're looking for it, you could spend the rest of your life probably doing that. Pretty much the same thing we're trying to do right now when we're trying to find the paperwork for funding for the sewer plant and bills that were paid or bills that were not paid that needed to be approved, so that, again, we talked about this, where the village could get reimbursed for those monies that came out of the village funds. So, again, this will help us at least get to a format and potentially an application so that we can scan this information, and anybody who particularly might want to FOIL something, or we at least have this data in a digital format that we could potentially keep forever.
It's organized.
Yeah. Another grant that we had completed the application on after we had done the road work was for Emerson Drive in Seacourt. We did receive the $100,000 grant money, so that money is in the village budget, and we're going to be meeting with our treasurer during the week and creating funds for that $100,000 so that we can use that money again for future projects like this year and next year. We're still waiting for our CHIP money reimbursement. That was approximately $325,000. We're waiting for that check to come back in, and then we'll be planning on starting road work again this spring, concentrating on Lincoln drainage first, and Lincoln Drive for paving. We're also going out to bid for drainage work on North Street from 94 up to Ahern Boulevard. A lot of those drainage pipes are many, many years old, metal, fatigued, rusted, falling down. Doesn't make any sense for us to pave over that kind of infrastructure. We also are going to take a look at doing some of the drainage work ourselves from Ahern north on North Street up to Taft School, because that road area is pretty rough itself. So once we get the proposal back on the cost of that, then we'll be making some decisions to pursue that based upon the monies that we have budgeted for this year. Okay. Next is an update on EFC. Kind of touched on this just a minute ago regarding the dollars that came out of the village budgets that paid for contracting work from the sewer plant. That funding, as we've been able to capture from another contractor called S&O. We've been pursuing a lot of their invoices for reimbursement for that dollar amount yet to be determined. We did submit another group of paperwork to EFC for the amount of $173,167.33. We're hoping by March 21st that we'll have information on that. Yeah. But I haven't heard anything from EFC, and I've reached out to Delaware Engineering. They're doing the legwork on trying to put together the paperwork for this disbursement. So we'll give you more information as that becomes available. Next is a tree planting donation. We've talked about this a couple of times. Along Ahern Boulevard, where we're proposing to plant trees in the memory of anybody that you would like to, or just because maybe just want to plant a tree. This has been placed on our website and has been on Facebook and so forth. We're working on a couple of other what do you want to call it, nurseries and so forth, to see on the pricing if we can get something a little bit better, or just to see the comparison of what these trees are running. They're about $275 to about $300. The diameter of the tree is about 2.5 inches, and our plan again would be to plant them along Ahern Boulevard, depending on the amount of people. Could be year after year we get 1 or 2 trees, and basically it'd be a blossom of deep red, deep pink, and a light pink type of tree. I think it would make the that roadway enhanced quite a bit. So we'll let you know where that goes, and if we can't make this window in the spring, we'll definitely plan on a fall planting, so we'll keep you informed on that. Also with that is a veteran banner display that we're also working on. There is an application that went out on the website and on Facebook. We have a approximate cost, again, I'm looking for a couple other prices from a few other different flag manufacturers for the banners. And so on the information or on site, we're asking for basic information, cell phone, email. There's one application or one banner per application. And when if you're interested in this for a family member, they're recommending that the picture, whatever it is, be scanned in, not a photo from taking a picture of a photo, because the resolution just isn't good enough. So if it's a grandfather, father, relative, whatever, that would work. And again, this has been put out there. And the price, again, is gonna be based upon quantity. So the more we get, the cheaper it'll be at the end of the day. But if it was an initial purchase for, say, under 10, the approximate cost between the bracket and the banner is about $175 to $200.
And those banners would not stay up year-round, right? They would be,
We would probably take them down in the fall, yes. They would go up potentially around when we're putting the American flags up for the Memorial Day, leave them up for the summer, fall, and take them down, so,
The VFW organizing that, or is that the village?
I'm sorry?
The VFW's organizing that, or is that like
The village, we're doing it, and I've talked to them, and they're well on board, they wanna help in any way they can, so, yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say you put them up on Memorial Day or Veterans Day?
We'd like to get them up for Memorial's Day. You know, whoever, again, I went through it, I was upstate over the weekend, I went through a town, and they had, again, small towns, small villages, but they only had a handful up. And I go through others down on the Westchester side, and they probably have 50 of these banners that are up, and it probably accumulation over time and years, but, you know, I think it would enhance anybody that's interested in recognizing a family member. I think it's pretty neat, they look good, and I think it would look really nice, you know, for Memorial Day if we can get them done. They say it's about a 2-week period, so we're kind of looking at receiving these applications back by April 12th. And that'll give us a couple of weeks to put the order together, and then once we know the quantity, at that point, then we can also ask you for the checks, and then we would put a bulk order in for the banner. Okay. Next subject we've had conversations about as well is the irrigation water meters. Susan, if you want to report of that?
Yeah, we've had a couple of residents approach us for irrigation meters. They are very popular in the south. There are a few communities up here that have them. Basically, it would involve the homeowner's cost of buying the meter, having the piping done for it. Our DPW would deliver the meter, but it would be up to the resident's plumber to install it. And then they would just be billed for their water usage, no sewer or facility use charges for your outdoor water.
Okay. I think, did we check with the attorney just to have the conversation on a local law? Does that need
We'd
to
have
be
to, yeah,
included?
we have to change our code for
Okay.
it,
All right.
which we can have,
Have you reached out to them?
I've reached out somewhat,
Okay,
for our next meeting, we can set a public hearing.
okay. All right, good, thank you. The next is Bank of New York building status. Excuse me. So as we know, Bank of New York has moved out. They made that decision maybe 6 to 8 months ago, that at least when we heard about it through the rumor mill. But at this point, we have reached out to the bank officials, corporate, trying to find out what their intentions are with the building. We have not received a phone call back, but we'll continue to try to reach them and try to see what they're doing. According to tax records, they own the building, so I don't know if they're planning on leasing it to someone or they're gonna sell the building, so.
Just for clarification, Thomas, Bank of America,
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Bank of New York.
Thank you, got the wrong bank. Don't get nervous, anybody with their money in Bank of New York, okay. So Bank of America, thank you. Okay. So we'll keep you in the loop with that. This past weekend, it was supposed to be on Saturday, was the bagpipes and bonnet celebration. It was moved to Sunday, obviously due to the weather that we had on Saturday. I know there were a number of members here, I was away for the weekend, so if anyone on the dais here would like to give an update on that, go right ahead.
It was extremely exciting, and the events committee did an exceptional job of organizing with their volunteers. No, it really was, it was a great day. Good turnout,
Kids had a lot of fun.
very well organized, without incident.
Great,
It was the first annual,
that was the first, yeah.
AKA prior Wabbittville.
Yeah. I heard everybody, and I saw a lot of pictures online and so forth, and I gotta say, once again, our event committee is doing just a fabulous job all the way around on all these events and really bringing the community together. There's some other things that'll be coming down the pike, we'll talk about that probably in April. Just for a heads up, there'll be April 20th, there'll be a village-wide garage sale in the downtown area by E.J. McLaughlin. I think they've requested to close off the parking lot from 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock and for the afternoon. They're gonna have music. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we've also, our talented guys in our DPW department have been having some time with the lousy weather, building some really nice picnic benches that we put downtown, a couple in each park, so it's really, you know, will be for good use at the end of the day, so that'll be really good. But again, the event committee is really stepping up big time and really doing a beautiful job. Okay, any other comments, questions from the board? Okay. All right, next we'll just move into our resolutions. Resolution 215 is to submit the Orange County Tourism Grant in the amount of $4,999 to the county. The money will be utilized to assist in advertising for the village fireworks display. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And we have read another resolution, 216, to approve the public assembly permit for the Washingtonville School District Scholarship Run, the 5K run/walk, to be held on Saturday, April 6th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Have a motion, please? Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
How many PDs do we know for that?
Too many. Everybody's gonna be there. We're gonna ask for Blumengrove's help, Fire Police's help, and DPW's help.
I was just gonna ask DPW.
Yeah,
That's all hands on deck for that one.
yeah.
DPW is not mentioned here. I don't see anything about DPW.
Okay. Next resolution is 217, to declare 2 police department AED defibrillator surplus and have no value to the village due to the age of the equipment. Have a motion, please? Second,
Second.
conversation.
Were
All in
they
favor?
Are they getting replaced?
These being replaced?
Yeah.
Motion passes 5-0. Next resolution, 218, to authorize the purchase of 4 Dell laptops for the village board from Hudson Valley IT Services at a cost not to exceed $1,938.60. Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 219 to authorize Besco Fence of Orange County, lowest priced quotation to install a fence and gates for the pickleball courts located at El Vernon Park at a cost not to exceed $19,839. This monies will be from our recreation fund. Have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second? Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, thank you. Next is Resolution 220, to approve the public assembly permit for the Washingtonville Events Committee to host a village-wide yard sale, business sidewalk sale on Saturday, April 20th at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at E.J. McLaughlin Square. Have a motion, please.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Next is a resolution to authorize myself to sign the agreements between Millennium Strategies and the Village of Washingtonville regarding the preparation and submittal of grant applications on behalf of the village through the New York State Empire State Development Restore New York Initiative grant programs at a rate of $150 an hour for the amount not to exceed $5,400. In the submittal of a grant on behalf of the village through T-Mobile Hometown Grant at a rate not to exceed, at a rate of $150 per hour and not to exceed $2,250. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Okay. So the T-Mobile, right, that is the one for the basketball courts. So that one is approximately $50,000, and we're looking at potentiality, if we get the money, that we can have a court established, because there is some request for basketball, and so we're working on that one. Do you want to go the other round?
Restore?
Yeah. You want to give an update on that? I'm sorry, you're right.
Restore, sure. Restore New York is a grant that is offered by our governor for about $60 million. We are potentially submitting 2 of our properties in the village. If we are lucky enough to move forward, we would have to actually pick one of those 2. And the idea is to, just like in the name, to restore a property that is of a historical nature, not necessarily declared historical or registered as historical, but, and is in need of a renovation. So,
What's the criteria of those 2 properties that you guys chose?
well, the criteria was whatever, we were on that.
Like,
conference
I'm just
call.
saying, like, who's just
Yeah.
saying, like, we picked those 2, you know? Why
Well,
those?
for one, for example, it is the police department. All
So it's
right?
a municipality, village owned?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Well,
So,
that is,
yeah, and we know that, obviously, we've had conversations and it's a budgetary thing.
Yeah,
So between windows and doors and just normal upkeep that hasn't been done, we did those windows, I think, when Marge was mayor,
94,
94,
95.
95, so. So, at the end of the day, if we were able to establish that, that would be a home run, because it's not historic stamped, but it is historic in the sense that that's the original firehouse and all the history that goes with that, so.
But it has to have noteworthy mention to the location, to the village.
Cool. All right, we had the motion, we had the second, conversation, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Great, thank you very much. 5-0, passed. Next resolution is 222, to approve the facility use form for the Hudson Valley Hot Rod Friday Night Car Cruise to be held on April 19th through September 27th at 5:30 to 8:30 at the Veterans Memorial Park on 94. Have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 223, to schedule a public hearing on April 15th at 7 PM regarding the adoption of a local law enacting Chapter 69 of the Code of the Village of Washingtonville Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals, and amending Chapter 315 zoning to the village code. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second, please. Questions, comments? Okay, I have one comment. So really what this means at the end of the day is that we have two boards currently, we're gonna merge them into one. So planning will be zoning, zoning will be planning, be the same bodies, and we're increasing the board to 7,
Staggered terms.
and of course staggered terms.
A quick question on Resolution 222. Does that generate any income for the village, the hot rods?
No, they just
something
park
that
their
you do?
cars, they just open up their hoods, and anybody driving by wants to, view the vehicles. There's nothing else beyond that, yeah.
They charge the people to participate in it, and they usually have some kind of judging of the cars and stuff. It's just good fun to see the rides.
Okay, so with that conversation, and we have motions and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next, Resolution 224, to schedule a public hearing on April 15, 2024 at 7:05 regarding the adoption of local law adding Chapter 11 of the Village Code consulting fees. Have a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 225, to authorize budget transfers and amendments as necessary to effect the necessary transfers of funds and to pay warrants. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion. Second? Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We're back at public comment, if anyone has any questions or...
Two short ones.
Edie?
Number one, are you gonna confirm, are you still planning on keeping this open for the Clovewood,
For the what?
the Clovewood, PEC meeting?
Yeah, yes, we can do that, absolutely.
Okay, I held off a little bit on publicizing it. There are 2 sessions, will be open for both.
What were the timeframes?
I think it's 2 and 6.
Oh,
2 to what? Is there a time frame when they're closing it, or is it open?
No, but I'll let you know.
You have to
Alright.
register though for public comment.
Yeah, because what I'd like to do, yeah, obviously, we'd like to get it on the website, so how soon do
I'll
you
let you
think?
know by tomorrow. And,
Okay.
Secondly, I was at the event yesterday for about 2 hours, from 3 to 5.
Mhm.
It was so awesome. You know, sometimes, during that time anyway, there weren't the kind of voluminous numbers that there have been sometimes in the past, but in a way it was even better. It was just what nature called for. The kids rolling around on the grass and running, grabbing things from each other and speeding as fast as they could. I got pictures, like it's gonna take me all day tomorrow to
That's great.
download them of precious faces and Daddy's dancing Irish dance with a 3-year-old. I think I saw at least 4 barely over baby size that had their first dance in their life.
Well, thank you. That's great. Thanks, Lottie. And thank you for doing all the public relations stuff and getting all that stuff up. It's really appreciated and,
Thank you.
heartfelt that everybody can, see it really firsthand. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Vinnie Lang, 9 Plymouth Rock Court, 61 East Main, the April 15 hardship public hearing for that. Has any notice of claim been filed with the village from that owner of that
No.
property yet? Changing topics, the water. Are we still selling water to Spindler?
Yes.
Because water's obviously, obviously everybody I'm sure is following South Blooming Grove, what's going on over there with the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming a commodity. It's never a commodity. It's so scarce, it is a commodity. you know, I've been watching the comprehensive plans online, I know what we're trying to do to keep intact our village.
Right.
We're selling water, a commodity, which should be selling for more money. But we're selling it, we know where it's going for their expansion. We're giving them water for their expansion. We either charge a lot more and get a lot more for it, or we just hold sales because we know where it's going.
Well,
That's my statement on that.
okay,
Because I see the spilling trucks going down there, we know where it's going, you watch their meetings, they have complete disregard, ethical, zoning, whatever they're doing, knocking down trees, clearing land, they can't handle it. They know they can't, they don't have the water to begin with, but we're selling it to them, and we're maintaining what they're doing. I don't know why we're giving it to them.
We did raise our rates that we charge Spindler.
It's a commodity, raising more, Bidenomics.
well, we discussed that a little bit too. I mean, Wallkill is approximately $20, we're at $18.18.
We're
If
supporting
we,
their
if we
expansion.
go, well, you gotta look at it as, it's a community. We can't,
So are we.
for the comments that you're making, that, you know, it's a commodity that we're selling to somebody and they're paying us for what they do. And, you know, if we can do that with other communities, anybody else that be looking for water, if we had the water to give, we would have that conversation. As long as we're taking care of and we're self-sufficient, taking care of what we have. Now, you know, with that too, the Fireman's Memorial Park well has been approved by New York State, and that should be going online very shortly. We actually have the ability to test it. We're just waiting for the official letter from DOH, from the state. But that well, after many, many months of us pursuing and trying to get that thing online, is right around the corner. Now can yield 60 gallons a minute. And we're still obviously in the infancy stages of the well on Highgrove. That's in planning process right now. So, you know, not that we're out here trying to sell water every single day and bringing in 3 or 4 different companies. We could sustain it, I don't believe. Our wells would just not, we wouldn't be doing the right thing. So it's a balance. And it just happens to be that particular company who's asking us for water so they
I don't care
can
what
sell.
company it is, but we know where the water's going.
And so be it. We have no control over where they deliver their water.
That's fine, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You get what I'm saying, they're expanding, they're taking down trees, they're putting high-density housing, they don't have the water now, and we're giving it to them.
Well,
I don't
all
agree with
the
that.
more reason to potentially, you know, get involved in the Zoom call when DEC has their public hearing.
They do whatever they want. Anyway, next topic.
I got you.
By the way, it's 2 and 6, and it will go on apparently as long as, depending on how many people have signed up to speak.
Okay. And what's the date of that one?
The 3rd.
The 3rd.
April 3rd.
Has the village ever had a code enforcement officer? Not a building inspector that enforces building permits, the police department does their thing. Have we ever had a code enforcement officer?
Building inspector is the code
I
enforcement.
get that, but obviously, there's a lot of things going on, he's a busy guy. We have codes on our books, obviously, I walk around every day, I see the village over the years, we can all agree that it has declined over the years, 100%. I walk around, you got multiple cars unregistered everywhere, on people's driveways, you got blue tarps on people's houses for over a year, you got fences falling down on people's properties, you got people leaving garbage pails out 7 days a week. 7 days a week, they're out there. You got, listen, I know bulk pickup, everybody jumped the gun early spring, you know, it was warm, everybody threw out their garbage, bulk pickup 3 weeks, 4 weeks early. But people do it regardless, you know, they dump it out there a day after garbage day, and they'll leave it out there for 7 days. Speaking of the trees, great idea, I think it's great along here, and we discussed it. The amount of dog shit along 800 Boulevard between Newcastle and all the way down to Memorial Park, that whole green area is full of dog crap. It's ridiculous, you know, and we're gonna ask the residents to donate a tree, whether it's a memorial for somebody, if they put a bench like they've been doing, which is great, but you can't even walk on that grass, and I'm sure the DPW mows over that dog shit like crazy every season. It's bad. So some kind of code enforcement, because I know the police department's not going around chasing people pooping on parks or whatever. And the building inspector, you know, he's dealing with permits. I know we're in a moratorium, but there's still construction going on,
Yeah.
whatever's going on.
And Vinnie, we have him out almost daily.
Every day, I sent him
There
out
are-
again
and we
today
all
to another
noticed
place.
Because right now, there's codes on the books that aren't being enforced. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
We
that
have
maybe we
codes
haven't
in
gotten
the
to
E code.
yet.
I've sat there and read that E code. There's codes walking around. It would be a revenue generating for the village.
And the
Address
ones,
the quality of life.
and the ones that you mentioned, Vinnie, and listen, eyes can't be everywhere, just like, you know,
We can't rely on self-reporting, residents self-reporting. We have to actively address quality of life within the village.
yeah,
And we
I
are
agree.
working towards that.
I agree. So, the things that you mentioned about vehicles, we had that specific conversation the end of last week. That's on his thing to do, because obviously, spring is coming. That law has been on the books for probably 5 or 6 years or so, maybe even slightly longer. But for some reason, it
Well,
was,
they amended it.
and it was, well, you went with dual axle, then you had the height, and then you had the length. But I can tell you 3 or 4 contractors that are just doing it. And why wasn't it done? I don't know, but we had that conversation. The house that has the blue tarp on it, that was a violation. Stuff was being done with that to make sure,
There's more than one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there, and, you know, listen, and we don't wanna be running around with a 10-pound hammer either, slamming people,
What
right?
is-
Where it comes to a point that if you gotta, you know, you gotta do what you have to do. But we would rather see a tarp than water running into the building and then having all sorts of other potential issues. But we understand what you're saying. It's just, and the residents can help us too. If there is something that you see, sometimes we don't see everything, and it's impossible.
We can't even get the residents to vote. We can't expect them to.
But you know what,
support
when their
quality of life.
neighbor has items out that is disturbing to them and an eyesore, they will address that, and I get them often.
Not, you're right, but it doesn't happen enough, because obviously they're not reporting the stuff that's within the village right now.
Yeah.
Nothing's-
And we've mentioned it probably at the last 2 or 3 meetings about bulk. It's happening on, you know, April 1st, blah, blah, blah. But if I go up North Street, there's a
I
dresser
agree,
sitting
that
out there.
happened now because, it was, you know, people got warm, people dumped it out there.
Yeah,
The garbage cans out there 7 days a week, they don't bring them in. It's a visual thing, you come within the village, you see garbage,
yeah.
you know?
We do have a couple of court cases pending that we are dragging people into court for code violations, so it's not like it's totally swept under. I go through the village at least 2-3
You guys
times.
have enough stuff going on.
Right,
You
but
shouldn't have to.
I
if-
sit
if
in
there was
there-
some kind of code enforcement, revenue generating guy out there.
And we are,
or
and Vinnie,
woman,
just so you know too, there's time frames. So it's not like we see it, we can knock on a door and have them take care of it,
I
right? So there's a
100%
process
understand that.
with citations, and they have X amount of time to respond, and, you know, that type of a thing.
And John is sent out there because he is both the building inspector and code enforcement officer. He's certified in both, and actually code enforcement is the higher certification than building inspector, believe it or not. He is sent out, like I said, I personally, they know, I ride him like a wet ship.
Same.
Going, you need to go check this property, you need to go check this property. John, I wanna send you out here, this doesn't look right. John, send these people a letter. So it's being done, you just don't, I know it's frustrating on your end to go through the village. I know you're a walker, so you probably see more than we see in a car. And I've told you before, if you see something, you know how to get in touch with me, Vinnie, because I have no problem writing him to go and get it straightened out.
I appreciate the comment. It is important, absolutely.
And remember too, we did have another part-time building inspector position that we had dissolved.
Okay. Any other comments from our grandiose? Yes.
So we have the electronic recycling up on April 13th on Saturday. Every year they usually have a limit of 4. They don't have the limit on there. Is there a limit for pieces?
A limit?
Flyers, flyers.
I could, we can check, but there's never really been a
There was
limit.
a flyer, it said, it was like fine print, it said 2 pieces.
I didn't see that on the web at all for that.
Okay.
Usually it's 4, and I would like it to be a little bit more. Because I hold on every time.
Did it say what kind of pieces, Penny?
Make 2 trips.
And you
It
can
was
always
for
bring
us.
electronics to
That
the
was my
Architect
wife,
Transfer
that was
Station for free.
I know, but I'm not on time like that. You know.
So-
Per
Yeah.
household.
Yeah, I mean, I have brought over multiple flat screen TVs, CPUs,
Yeah.
anything that had Freon in it. If it's not removed, they charge you, I think at the time,
$20.
it was like $20.
Yeah, I
But-
had that one,
Yeah, I mean, you can get more information, you know, the main number is 5223, option
yeah. Yeah, I
1,
guess I'll call them.
or option 2. That'll get you to the supervisor's office, the clerk's office, and 3 is the tax office. And they usually handle the garbage or whatever, so they can tell you all that good stuff for the details. Okay. Any other questions, comments, anyone? Chief, do you have anything that you'd like to bring up? Chris from DPW, anything in your neck?
Next month.
I'm sorry?
Water meters next month.
Water meters, yes,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be back at that every quarter.
Reading
Comes
time.
faster and faster.
We did a CTY today about the hydrants, hydrant maintenance, so there might be a little bit of brown water. It's gonna be over the next 2 weeks. They started at the western end of the village and will work their way across.
And that's hydrant maintenance, correct? Not flushing?
Correct.
Right. Okay. And flushing will come a little bit later on in the springtime. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we do have a purpose for executive session. So could I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion to enter?
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, no
Thank you very
decisions will be made, correct?
Thank you. No decisions. Thank you very much for attending, everybody.